Good morning, everyone. I am so honored to be here, and I just want to say thank you, and Anna, thank you for allowing me to come to this fabulous, wonderful church. You are a part of a legacy that goes back to Catherine Ponder. I'm so honored, and then I had a very dear friend of ours, Sally Taylor, who was a wonderful spiritual mother. And Sally, if you knew Sally, she was right on when it came to truth. She didn't deviate no way whatsoever. And if you knew her, and Catherine Ponder was also like that. So I'm assuming you're like that as well. I know Anna's like that because we don't, So my talk is going to be very special. I'd like to thank my wife for making sure who was in Austin, been telling me about Austin since we've been married, how she just got to get me down to this fabulous city, and we've enjoyed ourselves. And I just want to share something with you. I'm so grateful for her because 9 months ago, I suffered a brain aneurysm. 9 months ago on March the 14th. This is like a very special Christmas for me because those of you know anything about a brain aneurysm, and it was a situation where I was at home by myself, and all of a sudden, I had migraines in the past, and I thought I was having a migraine attack, and it turned out to be a brain aneurysm. So I was able to reach my phone. If it had been in another part of the house, I would have never probably be here right now, only in spirit. I might have been having a memorial or something. But I was able to dial her, get to the phone, call her. She, at that point, called the police. They literally had to come and break the doors down and rush me to the hospital. And there, they took us, had to clip the brain aneurysm because it was bleeding, and rushed me to another hospital where they performed surgery. And for the next 30 days, I spent almost in a coma, suffering from it. And then I went through a period, I was in a wheelchair, then I was in a walker, then I was in a cane, and so on. So this is my recovery at a stage. So I'm just coming to and so this is a blessing for me to be standing and speaking before you. And so I'm so appreciative to be able to give this talk to you. And so when we speak about love, and I'm so grateful to my wife who walked me through it and fought people off of me because she wanted to make sure they see me only in the pure state, that they will remember me and not bring in negative, oh, look at him, She understood how people are, and she wanted to make sure they don't bring that kind of negative energy. So we fought as a team, and we are a team. So you don't know how much I appreciate her and love her. But I just wanted to take a moment just to tell you that how important this period is. But I will tell you that I'm about teaching and taking you into a lesson. So do you mind having a lesson today? A very spiritual a metaphysical lesson. So I'm going to look at you as you should be looked at as metaphysicians. Because if you've been at this church, I mean, you're not just newbies. You're people who have been taught of seriously aspects about metaphysical principles and truth. But before I begin, I like to center myself the way I do in my own church. So I greet you from Detroit Unity Temple. So I start off this way if I was at home. Let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in thy sight, O Lord, my strength and my Redeemer. Show me thy ways, O Lord, and teach me thy paths, and lead me in thy truth, and teach me, for thou art the God of my salvation. On thee do I wait all the day. Lord, make me an instrument of your peace. And for this I say, thank you, God. And so it is. This month, as you know, we're in that Advent season. And I do want you to know that the Advent season is really something about a spiritual transformation. It's not just separate, independent weeks. You have to combine them all into a whole process of understanding how Advent works and serves in your life. But before I go into that whole experience and talking to you about Advent, especially the Advent of love, I want to talk to you share an Advent story with you. And the Advent story is about a young man who was, you might say, just recently released from prison. He had a small son who just about 6 years of age. This young man who was released from prison was living with his wife, but he hadn't really seen his son for 5 years, and he had got caught up in the wrong side of the fence. And he came home and he wanted to try to live a different life. He's been out of work now for about 5 months. When he came home from being out of prison, he kept trying to find work, and you know what it's like when you have a felon. You can't find work. And leading up to that time period, it was becoming more and more frustrating. He tried to block out words from all his old friends because he tried to walk a straight line. He tried to live it right. And every day he'd go out searching for a job, and he'd come home, and his wife was getting frustrated because she thought he wasn't trying hard enough. And he kept hearing those old voices tell him, man, you know he ain't going to find no work. And he kept trying to listen just to that positive voice. And the only one who was keeping him going forward was his son. And his son would come up to him and say, Daddy, I love you, and I believe in you. And he would hear that from his son, and that kept giving him his inspiration. But as time went on and it got closer to Christmas, he started thinking about the things he didn't have for his son. He still wasn't working, and as you know, there was nothing in his pockets, and he would hear his son say, Daddy, I want that. And when commercials come on TV, he would see all the things his son was asking for him, and he started feeling a little desperate. He started feeling about, I wish I could do this, but yet he was trying to hold on, and he had that in the back of his mind, but yet his old friends kept coming around to him. Hey, man, look, you know you can do this. And one time it was getting just real close to Christmas, and one of his buddies who he knew he thought was a good friend came up to him, hey, man, listen, we've been looking at this house, and we know that his family's going to be gone. And they got all these toys and all this stuff. And if we break in there, man, we can clean it up. Why don't you come with us? Why don't you come with us and we can clean it up right here and there? And he thought about it. And he thought about it real strong. He said, man, don't be a fool. Come on, let's go get this house. And just then he got weak. He said, oh, man, what's the sense? Nobody's helping me. I can't find a job. What's the sense? I'll do it. So they came by and picked him up to go, and they were going to do a B&E. They was going to break in and take this house. So he got in the car, and before he left, his son came up to him and says, Daddy, I love you. Daddy, I love you. Are you going to be gone long, Daddy? And he looked at his son and he said, look, you go to bed. I got to go do something. And his son ran to the window and watched him. The mother said, you know your father's not going to come back. Just go on to bed. So as he was driving with his friends, and they saw the house just like they told him. Everybody was gone. The house was dark. They broke out with all the tools. They came up there, and they was about to crack the window. And just then, a picture of his son came in front of him. Just at that very moment, he backed off. He said, look, y'all, I can't do this. I've been in jail. I've been through this. I'm not doing this. And he said, look, they called him all kind of names, chicken, and they just tried to dog him into feeling like he can do it. And he said, nope, that's not me anymore. He said, I got a son that I didn't see for 5 years. And he tried to walk away. They poured on him, and he said, look, I'm done with it. And he walked away. Put his collar up, and they said, well, you can walk home by yourself. We're going to get this. He was walking along. He had miles to go, and he was just tuck his collar up, and he was walking. It was snowing out there, and he was just walking by himself. Then he see this old man who was trying to fix a tire in the street. Man was by himself, so he goes over and said, can I help you? Man says, yeah, I need help. So he said, you stay in the car, I got it. And he pushed, took out the jack and changed the old man tire, put the tire on there. And the old man was so pleased, and he changed the tire, and he said, well, you all right? Told the old man. The old man said, yeah, thank you. Then the old man got out and said, here, son, come here. Told the old man, said, here, son, I got some for you. Gave him a $100 bill. And he told the old man, look, I didn't do this for money. I didn't do this at all for money. He said, son, you look like you could use a blessing. He looked at it, said, wow. And he thought about it, and he said, thank you. And the old man says, here's also my card. If you need a job, come see me. He took the $100 bill, and he said, thank you. So he went home, and this just happened to be a Target open. He went in there, and he got some toys for his son. And he came home with some toys, and he put it underneath the tree. And he went in there and opened the door for his son. His son looked up and said, Daddy, you're home. He said, yeah. And his son said, Dad, I love you. And he said, I love you too. I love you a whole lot more than you will ever know. And he closed the door, and he laid down with his wife. The next morning, the son ran in there and said, Dad, I got all these gifts. And he said, you know what? God is good. And that son had a wonderful Christmas. And he learned a wonderful thing, that love can change a man's life. That's all. And that was the story of how love changed his life. And that man could have done a whole lot of different things, but the love of his son stopped him from committing a crime. And also how the man he met gave him a job and his life changed. Love, the advent of love, is much more than we would ever know. But I want to tell you something about what this is about. You see, we are individuals who are spiritual beings living in a human body. We all agree to that. Do we all agree to that? Yes. Okay, y'all don't have to work with me here, okay? Because, see, I got to draw that out. I'm old school. And the reason I say that is this. In this spiritual transformation process that we go through, Advent is one stage. This time it started with faith. We went through peace. Now we're at love. Each one of those are vibrational frequencies that prepares us. Advent means preparation, the expectation and anticipation of what? Of the birthing process of the Christ. Even though we celebrate it symbolically of the birth of Jesus, what it really means is the birth of the Christ presence within us that occurs every year. Now, when we come to this time period, it's not just symbolically looking back and saying, oh, the birth of Jesus. We're talking about allowing ourselves to go through this entire experience so we can birth something within us, because that spiritual presence within us is ready to be awakened again to do the work we're called to do. There's not one person in this room that is not divinely sent to do God's work. We have work to do on this planet to transform this planet into a higher place, no matter what is taking place. So we go through the Advent season with the expectation. Now, if you're expecting to get nothing, then that's what you'll get. If you prepare for nothing, that's what you'll get. Nothing. If you anticipate nothing, that's what you'll get. Nothing. But using the vibration of faith that you had to go through the first week, then the peaceful foundation that came across with peace. And now with love, and love is a harmonizing energy that harmonizes. Love is so important. What holds a molecule together? What holds the molecule of H2O together, the two hydrogen and oxygen? It is love. What holds the planets in the universe together to keep around their orbits is love. Love is that harmonizing principle that holds it all together. Now, that doesn't just mean that, but let's go further. You see, we are on this transformative process to bring out who we are spiritually. You see, inside of each one of us is this spiritual butterfly ready to be released into the universe, into this present experience. So we move through this Christmas season, this Advent season, and next week we're going to be so joyful. So joyful, we're going to be shouting and dancing because we know we're ready to release this Christ's presence, but that still doesn't stop it right there. Because then we're going to move into what is going to be called the burning bowl. Why? I tell you why. Because we have to let go of the things that's blocking us for 2017. You got to burn it off because, see, sometimes over a course of a year, you pick up the wrong thoughts. You pick up the wrong ideas. You was hanging out with the wrong people, hearing the wrong words. So you release them. So we have a burning bowl experience. And so you come through it. We have been going through, and sometimes we do things from a rote perspective because we came expectantly to do it from a rote relationship. But what is to take place is that we recognize as metaphysicians, say that word with me, metaphysicians. You know you are metaphysicians, right? Here to transform the presence of who you are. So we have the burning bowl, which leads to the following Sunday, which is what? White Stone Sunday. And you do what? You take in and take on a new name, a new presence. So don't go when White Stone Sunday comes, don't say, oh, I'll just say faith, or I'll just say peace, or I'll just say destiny. No. You're supposed to have thought about what you're bringing in into the year 2017 that you want to live with, what you hope to have meaning with, what you hope to contribute with, because it's a vibrational frequency you want to add to the universe. I don't know about you, but the world's waiting for us. That's what made Unity so special, because we brought a different energy into the world. It wasn't just a continuation of a rote experience where religion had became like this just drummed up everyday ritual, same thing every year, the same message every year. We had added something to it special. It was called New Thought. So it was ready to rise it up and to lift it up so we can change and realize that we're all one people. What's the sense of war continuously going on? The madness that we see taking place, the killings that's taking place. Each one of you can touch people more than you will ever know. You can touch your own independent families. So when this movement was rallying itself in these study groups, we were all independent spiritual agents that was supposed to go through this process, be recharged. This is a recharging period. We recognized through this Advent season we had a long year. If you was doing your work. If you was doing your work. You know what I'm talking about? Come to the end of the year, you're tired because you was working hard. I mean, if you came through that election, you was working hard. You had to now let a lot of things go. So you came through it because now you got to get charged up again. So you have to recharge your faith, okay? Because some of y'all might have lost your faith, okay? Because if you put faith out there, because see, it's not an out there directed situation. It's an inner directed aspect. We lose sight of how that direction works. If you're living from out there in, you're in trouble. Hear me out now, right? If you're living from out there in, you're in trouble. Because all the craziness out there and you bring it in here, woo! I mean, think about it. How do you get settled and grounded if you, come on now. But if you don't know what's in here, that's another challenge. You have to know what's in here. You have to know what your heart is about. You have to know about the 72 trillion cells that exist within your body. You have to know all of that exists within your own frame of mind. So you have to know what love is about. God is love. We are made in the image and likeness of love. You see, our physical body is merely a projection of who we are. But that light that's being projected in its many colors and shapes, the inner part of it is love. Are you following what I'm trying to say? We are here to be change agents, and it's amazing when we understand that love, therefore, is the fulfillment of the law in Romans 13:10. I'm going to say it again. Love, therefore, is the fulfillment of the law. 13:10. Love, therefore, is the fulfillment of the law. That vibrational frequency of love that we can embark on is one of the highest frequencies in alignment with the Christ. We choose to operate at a low frequency, or we can choose to operate at a high frequency. I love what Michelle Obama says. When they go low, we go high. And that's what this Advent season is about. We can recharge ourselves through the Advent season. We can realign ourselves. And when that love Advent that we celebrate today is about, we recognize what love, that moment is. You breathe it in. You realize that God is love. You realize that as you take that love to that point within yourself, you can feel it. Have you ever felt love before? You know, it's something when you know that you are loved. Children understand it much more than we have. But see, when we commercialize Christmas, then you don't touch it because you're living from out there in. But when you're living from inside out, you're sending out, that's what this whole area, you're sending out love. So when you get to next week, when it's joy, you're joyful. You want to sing. It's a whole dance, movement, energy. You're excited. Not because of commercialization, because you know that what's being birthed inside of you is the Christ energy. And so you see it in other people. You be excited about other people because you know no matter what takes place out there, you realize who you are. You realize whose you are. You realize the amazement of the energy that flows inside of you. And you say, thank you, God. Because through it all, in 2017, you know you can begin again. You can begin to make this world go forward. You won't be trapped. You'll become healthier. Because when you're living out there, it wears you down. We all been out there, haven't we? And then you walk back in your house, it's like, oh, you feel like you've been beat up. You've been beat up mentally, physically, spiritually. You say, I'm tired. Why? Because I was living out there. You're hearing those echoes of people. You done watched TV too many times. You done heard it. And you be dragging your feet. You be saying, oh, Lord, please help me out. You become running. Rubber Anna, please help me. Take me home. Do something. But it's all about you, right? It's all about your relationships with God. God is waiting on us to accept the reality of who we are. During this Advent season, you have an opportunity to become still. You have a wonderful opportunity to acknowledge the presence, because there's not one of us who's not selected by a divine source. Because the day you were born, you were implanted with a mission. You were given a task. So it's not about how old you are, how young you are, no matter what your gender is. You have radiating inside of you a wonderful divine presence of energy. When you begin to think about that presence, please know that this is all about a spiritual transformation. That is a fundamental change in a person's sacred and spiritual life. In psychology, spiritual transformation is understood within the context of an individual spiritual system, especially relationship to a sacred or ultimate concern. Every day of Advent is a vibrational energy built upon one another. It is a process of awakening the Christ process, the Christ presence within us, the I am, a birthing process. You know how they tell you that your cells are rebuilt so often on a continuous basis? This takes place within you every time. You have 72 trillion cells plus inside of you. So when you begin to align that thinking, now if your thoughts is in a poor me, all 72 trillion cells say, we sick, boss. All 72 trillion cells are hearing what you're saying. You are the master, the Lord of your spiritual universe. So how you think, how you feel, how you respond is what you're sending throughout your universe. Notice I said your universe. There's a solar system inside of you, a vibrational frequency that is so fantastic, so beautiful, because ye are gods. There's a God presence inside of you that is built on the frequency of love. Built on the frequency of love. And when you diminish that, you're diminishing your relationship to God, the Almighty. So how you see yourself is how you see God. You understand that, right? So if you got a little God, or if you see yourself little, don't blame nobody else. If you let those things out there affect you, don't blame those things out there, because you allowed them to come in. When Jesus says, Satan, you get behind me, that's what he was talking about. You are a divine spark of radiating energy. You are God's chosen one that lives in the magnificence of who you are. This is why we are here, to recreate heaven on earth, to build it with a magnificent, wonderful, spectacular foundation. Everything that's being done with technology has already been done inside of us. There's nothing new in the universe. It has already been created within us. We are telepathic, spiritual beings that see the universe farther than man could ever create. God has already done it within us. We are sanctified. We have been transformed into galactical creatures. You know, we should get up every day and say, thank you, God, for this magnificence of a body that we have. And during Advent season, when next week comes, we talk about joy, we should say joy and shout it, yes, I am. I always say, all that God is, I am. And all that I am, God is. Say it with me. All that God is, I am. And all that I am, God is. Thank you kindly, everybody. God bless you.
Search for glory a million different ways in their solitary faces, working at it hard each day. But if they'd stop and take the time to question why they care, they might just start to find there's still room for sharing. It's like we go around in circles when there's no love in our lives. Just an empty game we're playing. All we do is mark the time. And if we get our name in the papers and make a lot of money, have we satisfied our hunger in the search for glory? You know that the only glory is to love and be loved. It's the ageless story